On Monday, November 12th of 2018, Stan Lee of Marvel Comics passed away at the age of 95. Around the world, millions of comics fans are devastated to hear the news that a man at a statistically reasonable age has actually predictably died. And they are left with questions. How many more cameos did Stan Lee actually film for the MCU? And how much are these signed comics actually worth now? I kid, but it's with the greatest respect and admiration that I say Excelsior, Stan. You'll be missed. I'm Dan Umpton, and this wouldn't be the Doomcast without Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a figure that most people knew a few facts about. But when you unpack his life, it reveals some incredible accomplishments. More importantly for me, some lessons about how to overcome some of life's greatest hardships. I mean, he went from living through a depression, mopping floors in a comic book company, to writing Captain America at 19 years old, then going to war himself, only to return to a string of critical failures in comics, until he created Spider-Man at the age of 40. Stan Lee was born Stanley Lieber in 1922, the son of Jack Lieber and Celia Solomon Lieber, Romanian Jewish immigrants. He grew up in Washington Heights and North Harlem in Manhattan, and his first job in comics was in 1939, when he managed to get in filling inkwells at Mo Goodman's Timely Comics. By 1941, Stan Lee had written his first story in Captain America #3 and became a regular contributor under that pen name. In 1942, he joined the Army and was assigned to work in training films. Upon returning, Lee found Timely a very different place altogether, as comics shifted from vigilante pulp heroes to westerns, romance, and horror. And by the middle 1950s, Stan Lee was at Atlas Comics and was thoroughly sick of the medium. That's right, Stan Lee wanted to quit comics. But when DC introduced the new Flash, Barry Allen, in 1956, and a new Justice League of America, the post-war boom had a taste for superheroes again, and his editor made him create similar characters. With nothing to lose, and prodding from his wife Joan, Stan created the Fantastic Four with legendary Jack Kirby. Now, I don't have to list all of the things he created because you know them. What's insane is how fast he created them, along with Kirby, Ditko, Heck, and Buscema. So, in order, the Fantastic Four, Doom, the Hulk, Thor, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, the X-Men, the Avengers, in 23 months, all from November 1961 to September 1963. Stan Lee was 41. Lee introduced more characters like Daredevil, the Black Panther, Silver Surfer, Black Bolt, Man-Thing, She-Hulk, and a panoply of other enduring characters. But what shocks me about his life is how many times it might never have happened. In 1937, Mo Goodman had been visiting Europe and he had tickets back to New Jersey on the Hindenburg. He took a plane instead. 18 months later, he hired Stan. In 1960, Stan Lee almost quit the medium of comics. By 39, he hadn't accomplished anything that he had wanted to, except for publishing a few pulp stories. The next 5 years of his life were the most productive of almost any single comic creator, save for Gardner Fox. In 1975, Marvel struggled so much for cash that they sold the Japanese film rights of Spider-Man and Captain America to Toei. The live-action Spider-Man TV show was the precursor to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. By the 1980s, Marvel was bought and sold so many times it was hard to keep track of. After the comics boom of the 1990s and the loss of dozens of exclusive artists to Image, Marvel filed bankruptcy, sold film rights off, and sold the entire company to the Toy Biz Company, which was owned by Ike Perlmutter. Without that sale, and the sale of the film rights, the MCU might never have had to happen. Disney may never have bought Marvel. So many times, Lee could have quit, given up, discouragement, setback, hurt. Even he himself had done very questionable things to his friends and longtime collaborators. And from the outset, Lee never intended to be a comic book creator. He wanted to be a literary author. He even used Stan Lee because he wanted to save the name Stanley Lieber for the great American novel he intended to write. But life had other plans, as it does for all of us. If he'd done anything less than stay the course, and keep innovating, keep trying to make things work, what would the world be like now? We're not in control of our own destiny. Sometimes incredible success and incredible adventure come with blind luck, but also making the best of the place that we are right now. That's a power we all have. And with great power comes great responsibility. Excelsior. Thanks, Stan. This has been the Doomcast. We'll see you again soon. Enough said.